So good morning, everyone. I haven't done this show in a long time, and I apologize for that. Um, just chaos. We had some pet health issues. I have a camera down, so I hey Cassie, I made it back. Yeah. um, it's been a week, man. It's been a week. It's been a week. It's been a week. What's up, zombie? No selling or anything today. We're just kind of hanging out. I got the database pulled up. I don't really have a plan, as I don't often do. I am glad to be doing this. We're gonna start a Twitch channel too, I think. And then just we're gonna continue to do this, I think, and then we're gonna do Twitch additionally. And then I'm gonna start trying to dial in like what content looks best on what platform. Do you know what I'm saying? Because some of this stuff might look better in like a 16:9 format, but I'm gonna continue to do this. It's not gonna be like an either or, I don't think, but that is gonna happen. What do we want to talk about? What do we want to look up? I'm trying to think of anything really wild that I've sold in the last couple of days. I've been meaning to look up. Let's check, see if we have any authors down here. So if you don't remember what we're doing, obviously I know Cassie, you're the only one in here if you're still in here. Let's look up Yarros. We haven't done Yarros. That's shocking. So my whole shtick obviously is, I rescue books. I find all the books, and then I have to sort the books. And I'm a firm believer, the more you can get into your head, the better off you're going to do, the better off you're going to find books in the wild, find these, I think all books should be saved, but I'm practical. I realize that we're all going to be in situations where you can't save them all. So if you can't save them all, which ones do you save? Whether they be for you or whether they be for, someone else, or we haven't, wow. We haven't what? I don't know what I'm saying. Yarros. Yarros. Yeah, which is shocking. I just had I found 3 copies of not Fourth Wing, but the sequel. So like I've had Yarros in like the last 3 shows. But yeah, let's add Yarros to the list here. So we're looking at 90-day sell-through rates and just number of listings, just trying to kind of wrap our head around what she's got going on. Let's see. I got to kind of refamiliar myself. We're going to go 90 days. Oh, goodness. 90 days. Okay. So books, we are in the regular books category. We will check the other one. Let's first go to active. What we're looking for here is this number right here, that total active listings. And my thought process on this will just, let me put numlock on for 600. She was probably just romantasy, right? Does she do smut too? I got to reapproach these because I'm learning that it's not always the same. So let me make sure. Right, 4,600. And so we'll kind of glance. So this is the stuff that she's got listed right now. Obviously, anybody can when you're on eBay. One thing to always, and I know you guys know this, to take into consideration is that anybody can list anything at any price. It doesn't mean that somebody's actually like paying for that. So we do want to come over here and look at sold. The first thing that we want to do is we're actually looking for this number right here. That's pretty darn good. No lie. Just to kind of give everyone a baseline to remember, Stephen King is roughly 20%, and there's no world that exists that you wouldn't save every Stephen King book that you find. So again, try to save everything, but in the instances where you can only save a few. So I kind of use Stephen King as a rough baseline. If I'm being honest, I generally pick up anything 10%. To be fair, I generally pick up everything. But like I said, if I'm out picking, there's no world I don't pick up Rick Riordan. There's no world I don't pick up Hemingway. I personally like Crichton very much. I know he's a little bit slower to move. Anyway, we're getting lost in the sauce already. We've only been on for like 5 seconds. Just romance and romantasy on Yarros. Okay, cool. So let's find her again in the list. So that's kind of what we've got going on. And the reason why I do this is when I was a wedding photographer, I had a very, very firm policy that where'd Yarros go? Yarros at the bottom still? Yeah. Okay. That, the time to practice is not when you're out in the field necessarily. When I'm at a wedding with a client, with a bride on what is up to that point the most important day of her life, hopefully not the most important day of her life moving forward. There's many days to come. That always did kind of bug me. A short aside, this is the best day of my life. And I would always add, so far. like don't peak here. This is not where you want to peak. It does not make for a good marriage if your wedding day is the peak of the marriage. So really think about that. It's like it should be the beginning of the best days to come, not the best day. The wedding is just the start. Anyway, wedding photographer for 10 years. I got thoughts. There's a lot I would change about weddings and weddings days. But it's also really neat to kind of look back and see like why we do certain things. Like why does the bride carry a bouquet? It was like a utility knife. Like she would put different herbs in it, everything from breath freshening to aphrodisiac. And it would also ward off evil spirits because, so weddings are neat. Like they really are. And I love love. So I shot a lot of weddings. Anyway, 33, I probably shot 200, 300, 400 weddings in my time. One of these days, I'll bust out some, like the annoying guy with the photo slides. Hopefully, my photos are a little more entertaining than what a vacation slideshow would be, but we'll find out. I've lived a life, friends. I've seen things. Oop! Thanks for the pickup there, friends. Mark Twain's always a good one. All right, so let's take a look at what she's got going on. We're looking at Rebecca Yarros. She's dialing in at a good amount of books on the secondhand market. That tells me that she's quite popular. She's a working author. She's out there doing stuff, which obviously she is. And then also that people really want her stuff, and that and then with the almost 40% sell through or 30% sell through, that's pretty quick. Like I said, Stephen King's at 20%. So let's see. We've got the arc here. Let's check this out. Why can't I link it? Does it not give me links anymore? Okay, maybe that's just an old one. So let's look at the arcs. Promotional kit. Let's skip that. What's this Lit Joy? So a lot of arcs. And so what an arc is an advanced reading copy or an uncorrected proof. This would have come out prior to the first book. Like even prior to like the first edition, first print, and sometimes it can be a little bit different from what the final finished version is. Ooh, that's pretty. So we're gonna look at all this. We're gonna look. We got some fairy loot going on in here. We got some bookish box. Let's check that out. What's this? So, Iron and Flame. This is neat shit. Fourth Wing series. Oh, I didn't know there was more. I thought there was only 2 books. I didn't realize Onyx. I haven't seen Onyx Storm in a while. Anyway, all right, let's check it out. Lit Joy is a book box as well. Very cool. Very cool. I hadn't seen that one. Okay, so this is the advanced reading copy. Never ever sleep on the advanced reading copies. I pick up literally every one I find, whether I've heard of the author or not. You never know. I almost feel like it's speculative, like you're almost, like it's a 1% stock, because I guarantee you when Fourth Wing is the first one. Which was the first one? Whatever the first one is, I think it's Fourth Wing. Like you don't know it's going to be famous, right? Like you. So when you pick this thing up, it might only be worth a couple of bucks. Then bada bing, bada boom. Rebecca Yarros and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing her name correctly. But then all of a sudden the book kind of like blows up. She gets super popular, and then the the $1, $2 arc that nobody wanted is now an $800 like first edition, first print. You know what I'm saying? Even more than a first. So just something to think about. Like I just worth keeping the arcs sometimes. And I know a lot of folks collect them too, because they're kind of neat. So this is, what is this? This is a Dreamer Whale 4-3. Is this a book box kind of thing here? It's pretty as shit though. Look at that. Holy smokes. Do people use that as a poster? I can't see anybody using that like as a poster. Don't use it as a poster. Keep it with the book, please. I mean, do what you want. It's your shit. But anyway, it's really pretty. And I love the sprayed edges. These sprayed edges are really neat. And it's not a new thing. You can find antique books with sprayed edges, hundreds of years old. And then some of them are really neat on the antique books. Like if you like you have it like flat like this, but then if you like take it and like spread it out like that, it'll show you the image. It really, really neat. Never not pick up an old book with sprayed edges, by the way. Just like you wouldn't not pick up a book now that has sprayed edges. They're very pretty. So what is a Dreamer Whale? Is that a book box? Does anybody know? You think it's Australian? Okay. European bookstore. Gotcha. Okay, so that's neat. I had never heard of Dreamer Whale before, but that's a really pretty book. So what do we got going on here? These are unsigned. Fairy Loot, which is, we are very familiar with Fairy Loot, as I'm sure a lot of you are. Very, very, like books are starting to remind me of like comic books to a certain extent, where you have, Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, Onyx Storm, but then you have like 7 different like covers, right? And that's exactly what they did in comics. So, yeah, these are pretty. Sprayed edges get me. So here's another question. For those of you who really dig the sprayed edges, do you, when you present them on your bookshelf, do you present them edges out? Or do you present them spine out? Or do you alternate depending on, some other unspoken criteria that I'm unaware of? So, and guys, thank you for coming in and out. We're just hanging out, chilling out, not really any selling. I don't even have my top-down camera working. Apparently, this might actually be broken. I tested it this morning. Ooh, this is pretty. Dragon Rider? What's this? $475 for this sold. So that's interesting too, because like outside, like the covers don't look all that different, right? Am I crazy? It just looks like the edges are different. Did somebody like do this on their own? No way. That's really good if they did. Holy smokes. Are these hand painted? Brand new, unread, Entangled Publishing. The Empyrean series, is that what this is called? Okay, anyway. So those are really neat. I hadn't seen those before. So basically, the long story short, it doesn't seem like a lot like different titles are in her bolos, but they're all pretty versions of a really awesome trilogy, and I'm sure she's gonna have more. So very pretty. What's this? I Earned My Dragon. So this must have been some sort of event. That's pretty. Now, she's written a lot more than just this trilogy, right? Oh, that's pretty. Love the signature. Red Tower Books on this one. That's really pretty. I want to find out what all has she written. What all has Rebecca Yarros written? Please produce me a list in publication and series order. You're currently reading these? She has a lot of romance too? Cool. I think I said, Cassie, I'll have to check that out. I need to get into my messages. Come on now. So the Empyrean series, which is a planned pentology. And again, I know folks have different thoughts and feelings on AI. I understand that. I'm willing to have that conversation with folks. But do always double check the information regardless of your personal feelings on it. So Onyx Storm just came out this year. Iron Flame was 2023. These are the ones that I probably see the most often. She has done Flight and Glory, military romance. So she's been writing. So is this the earliest book? 2014. Renegades trilogy, extreme athlete romance. There you go. I do like romance, and so like because romance happens everywhere in all fields, and you can literally write a romance novel about like in any setting because romance happens everywhere. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's a neat thing when you think of how pervasive like love and relationships and our desire to make connection is. I saw not only do we just see, small town firefighter romance, extreme athlete romance, I found a STEM romance, like a science, technology, engineering, math, like romance. Romance is everywhere. You gotta love. It's the only thing that beats back the darkness, my friends. It really is. Ollie Hazelwood. Yes. That's exactly right, Cass. So here you go. All right, here's a little list. She started, I guess her earliest book seems to be 2014, so relatively new on the scene. And like you guys said, lots of romance. And that is a crash course on Rebecca Yarros. Her next book is expected in 2026, and it will be the continuation of the Empyrean saga, which I have not read. Which it's on my list. Oh, and this is why it had 4 books. This threw me. It's 2 copies of Onyx Storm. I wonder if they're different edges. Yep, different edges. That's fun. All right, do people, see, this is what I'm talking about. It's getting very comic booky because you got, what I assume might be the regular edition. And then you've got the Target edition, which has the different sprayed edges. And that's exactly the kind of shit that comic books do, right? You have, copy A, then you have retailer copy B, then you have the 1 in 10 incentive variant, and then you have, anybody can license a cover given enough money. So, and don't get me wrong, I dig it. Like art is cool, but it can for the completionists, it can like bug you out a little bit. And I'm kind of a completionist. Like, for example, there's like 20 Rick and Morty #1s. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes it also can be like a barrier to entry into collecting whatever it might be, because it comes out like it's a little intimidating. You know what I'm saying? Like, which one do I get? Does it matter? Should I, then and the only reason it was ever done was to sell more copies of the same book, right? So the publisher can get more mileage out of fewer customers. So Harry Potter, exactly, Cassie. Harry Potter is like that too. So like I have a love-hate relationship with it. Like I'm not trying to like gatekeep and like, oh, everyone should do this. But like as a consumer talking to publishers, don't overdo it. Because like comic books are a really good example. They kind of overdid it and everyone got it into their head that, they basically what happened, they sold a Superman first appearance and it was like a multi-million-dollar sale. This was like early 90s, 80s, maybe a little prior to that. And it hit the news. Everybody went crazy and it started like this comic book craze. And this was like late 80s going into the 90s. But what happened is publishers took advantage and started printing like 87 different variants of covers and telling everyone it was super collectible. So everyone thought that if they just bought comics, they'd put their kids through college. And that is obviously not how anything works. So basically it created this huge comic book bubble, which eventually did burst. And that's why today you're dealing with like, not so much now because Disney owns Marvel and they own everything. But prior to some of those, mergers that have happened in the last 5-10 years, like that's why Fox owned the X-Men, or whoever owned X-Men, or like Spider-Man was made by somebody else that wasn't Marvel, and then just now they're getting underneath the same. That's what, does that make sense? So they self-created a bubble that did burst purely because they were capitalizing on folks thinking that the books were more valuable than they were. Does that make sense? You currently have 5 different versions. Now, I don't necessarily think books will be in that same bubble because people actually buy it. They don't necessarily buy it with the intent to like resell it, right? Like when you guys are spending your money on your loot boxes and your fairy boxes or coming on whatnot, you're not necessarily going, I'm going to buy this book because in 20 years it'll put my son through college. That's not, so I don't think there's going to be a book bubble. And does that make sense? The ingredients aren't quite there. It's not the same thing, but it does. It feels kind of samey, but different. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like we just put them on the shelves and they're pretty. What's going on?
I want your phone to put on.
You want my phone?
I want to put on the charger.
I appreciate that, honey. Thank you. My wife's taking care of me. We're going to the bins, and then she knows when I get talking, I don't like feed myself, put my phone on the charger, or do any of my basic needs. So anyway, what author are we going to do next now that I went on that little comic book tangent? So Rebecca Yarros, very good. That's my conclusion. We knew that already. Very solid. I think she's going to have a wonderful career. I'm excited to see what she comes out with. You know, I dig it. So who would love your mug? What do I got? Oh, Slytherin. Yeah. Slytherin. There wasn't a witch nor wizard that went bad that wasn't in Slytherin. I actually sometimes have an eternal debate on which one I would actually ultimately end up being, you know, Gryffindor or Slytherin, because like I don't know. Like I'd like to think like I'm the really really good guy that would, you know, fight, and I want to be that guy, aspire to be that guy, but like at the end of the day, I know like if I were faced with really hard choices and have to choose between like my family and like a Sophie's Choice, like two horrible choices, I would probably always pick my family because, you know, but does that make me the good guy or the bad guy? I don't know. Do you guys struggle with these existential problems as you go to bed at night? Maybe I should stop reading so much philosophy. Do you know what I mean? So like, yeah. Well, and there's that. There's Ravenclaw, and I'm definitely like Ravenclaw-esque. You know, if I'm not a Gryffindor, am I a Ravenclaw and not a Slytherin? Or am I just doing that male like macho thing and I want to think like I'm a hard ass, but I'm not really a hard ass? I'm very self-aware. I contemplate these things. Who am I really? I need the fucking Sorting Hat to tell me. I can't figure it out on my own. Anyway, books. We're doing book shit. I don't know who I want to do next. I was totally unprepared. I haven't done this in so long. I usually have I take notes. Here, let me check my chat GPT and see what questions I've asked it recently. We got random book facts. No one ever says Hufflepuff. See, that is true, Hawk B. That is true. But I actually really dig the Hufflepuff because, like, I think that's what winning looks like. Like, all of the other fighting and stuff, but we all want to chill out and be the Hufflepuff who's already kind of understood life is about, you know, like, just being cool and digging and relaxing and being like a hippie. And, like, my favorite Hufflepuff was the herbology professor. Like, she's winning. That lady is winning life. So, but you're right. No one does say Hufflepuff. But I really do truly believe that I think inside all of us, we desperate to live the life that a Hufflepuff strives to represent. So, like we were Gryffindors to so we can live the Hufflepuff life. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd rather be so that, you know, a warrior in a garden versus a garden in a warrior. The warrior in the garden just wants to garden, but he can, you know, kind of a thing. So, have we done Ruth Ware? Ruth Ware is a really good one. Have we done old Ruthie? I find her stuff all the time. We haven't. That's who we're doing next. Okay, so let's put her at the bottom. Ruth Ware. Go back over here. I'm Hufflepuff. I love Hufflepuffs. Hufflepuff, exactly. Hufflepuff be chilling. Like Hufflepuff's the person like say the Gryffindor's like, oh, I'm fighting, brr. But like we go home to the we just want to be held by the Hufflepuff.
I was a Ravenclaw/Hufflepuff.
I believe my wife, Ravenclaw Hufflepuff, my perfect example. You know what I mean? Can you add Carolyn Peckham? Sure. Yeah, and it's not to say that a Hufflepuff can't come out and kick your ass if need be. You threaten a Hufflepuff sanctuary. Like, imagine what the herbology professor would have done to anybody who came in that garden. You know, she'd have stood on business. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have fought her on her own ground. That's like fighting Poison Ivy from D.C. No thanks. Yeah.
You're a Slytherin Hufflepuff.
I'm a Slytherin Hufflepuff? See, and I'm over here going, I'm a Gryffindor
Actually, you're a Hufflepuff Slytherin.
I'm a Hufflepuff Slytherin with a bit of Ravenclaw. I love Professor Sprout, Cassie says. Yeah, Professor Sprout is, not going to lie, probably one of my favorite characters. She had her fucking priorities straight, that one.
Is amazing.
Well, yeah, and plus my wife pointed out, the actress who plays that character is also a badass, by the way. If you don't know anything about her, we could look it up, but she was just in the news for something, and she was ripping on Trump or something. I can't remember. So anyway, what do we do? Ruth Ware. That's who we're looking up. Oh, we never did collectible books for Yarros. So we got to go back to that. Let's go back to Yarros. So does she have? She might be a little too young. So what we're looking for here is sometimes along with the regular book category, there's also like the collectible category. And sometimes a lot of stuff can end up in there. Usually when you have a little bit older of an author. But that is not what's going on with... And I felt comfortable doing Yarros because that was a very specific, not too many. I can't think of another brand that would have that in their keywords. But for Ruth, we are going to type in her whole name. Apply. All right. So let's go to active first. We're going to get this number here. It kind of shows us about what kind of volume is on the second market for her books. Wait, it's still Yarros. No, we don't want Yarros. I mean, we do want Yarros, but we're looking up Ruth. So, not as active as Rebecca, but it seems like Rebecca's kind of like right in the middle of like I don't want to say peaking because who knows like where her peak is, but she's trajectory. But I guess Ruth's is too. She's Ruth Ware is a Woman in Cabin 10, and it's my understanding that there's a Netflix show coming up pretty soon. So if you have not read Ruth, now would be the time so you can look at your friends and go, I know what's going to happen, which I do all of the time. You should have said I was threatening people during Game of Thrones, not like for real, but I was like, you better stop talking shit, or I'm going to tell you how this ends. I have never felt more powerful and dangerous. Or sometimes with Marvel movies and comics, you can do that too. Well, but a lot of times with those, you end up being but actually, because they always deviate from the thing. But anyway, I'm a fun guy to hang around with, huh? Why does anybody be my friend? Anyway, focusing. So it's actually about 3,000 listings. So let's put that in here. Can you add Love Professor Sprout, Harry Potter fan? We'll check that out. Oh, me too. Game of Thrones had my blood and blood pressure up. Same with Walking Dead, which is a Robert Kirkman comic book. God. Book readers are dangerous, man. We know, because all the cool stuff usually starts off with as a book first. All right. So we're going to sold on Ruth and see what she's kind of got going on. What's her sell-through rate? Not nearly as good as Rebecca, but that's all right. 10% is pretty okay. And I 100% guarantee you this Netflix show or whatever it is, it's going to inject some interest into her other books as well, because people will eventually go, oh, this was a book first. Oh, it was Ruth. Oh, and then they'll want to check out her other work. So just if you're a reseller or a book saver or collect, like I would expect, like if it was a stock, I would expect that stock to go up a little bit. Just like if it was a comic book and a comic book movie was coming out. You know what I'm saying? So this is a new book, I guess, that she's releasing, $7.25, or is this like her brand new book that just came out? We'll check that out. Here's another arc for Woman in Cabin 10. I would expect this. If you find this uncorrected proof of this, and you can find it before the Netflix show comes out, that would be a huge win. I would expect that 40 to turn into 400. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's not exactly an easy book to find, but don't take that to the bank. I have no idea if it's going to go to $400, but I do legitimately expect it to go up. And if I were to have one of these right now, I would probably still sell it. But like, if it was Steve 10 years ago, I would set that on a shelf and just let it, what's it called? Gain value, accrue value, I guess. So Woman in Suite 11, I guess that's her new book. She doesn't seem to have any specific book that is like crazy expensive, outside the norm. The arc, signed, book lots. We'll take a look at that. Book of the Month Club. Let's take a look at that. That might be a bunch of them. The Lying Game, which I don't think I've seen in the wild yet. I'm not familiar with this title. One Perfect Couple, signed Barnes & Noble exclusive. We'll take a look at that. What else we got in the old list? Yeah, it seems a bunch of same. So here's the... Is this the new book? Oh, I see. This is the Advanced Readers Edition. This is an ARC, or an uncorrected proof. It's the 10th novel from the Queen of Crime, it says. So Ruth is Crime, Advanced Readers. So yeah, Woman in Suite 11, I guess this is a continuation of, and she's doing like the James Patterson thing, where like he uses a number. I think it was Murder Club. I think it was those books. So here's Cabin 10. So is there 9 books before this one? And again, this is the uncorrected proof. If you can snag this, I would probably do so. I would expect this to go up. And I don't expect people to like books aren't comic books, so they don't you might be able to find one. Because if it was a comic book, it would all be sold already. Like the moment that announcement is made with comics, all of the speculators will run to all of the stores, all of the eBays, all of the whatnots, all of the Macaris, and load up in all of the speculative stuff. They do it in Magic cards, they do it in Pokemon, all of the releases. So I guess I have seen Lion Game. I sold this paperback just the other day. I've seen One by One, Woman in Cabin 10, Lion Game, and I don't think I've seen these. I may have seen this one. I'm not sure. We can look at a bigger photo. In a Dark Wood. So again, Queen of Crime. Reese's Book Club, which is always fun to see. I didn't know she had started a book club, and then within the last year or so, I remember that. And then I see TikToks of Legally Blonde every now and then, where she is just like wrecking somebody who like underestimated her, and it's like I like those TikToks. I like it when the smart person who's always super nice, they just kind of get pushed a little bit further over the edge, and then all of that intelligence, which is normally scattered among many things, gets directed at one person, and then it's just that person gets smoked. Like, leave the smart people to their ADD-ness. It's better for you and for them. Yeah, Cassie, you're right. I did. Yeah, I did. I had that one once. I think it was the last ADHD show. We did a religious show yesterday, so I think that would have been Saturday. So there's that. One Perfect Couple signed copy. Of course, always pick up the signed stuff. I would expect her signature to go up a little bit too assuming the show is good. Like, what will happen is the show will come out, the price will go up on all these things because it'll be speculative, and then by the first to third episode, people are gonna really kind of have an opinion, and either like it'll continue to go up, or it'll peak at some point. But it will raise the basement. How much it'll raise the basement will ultimately depend on whether or not people actually like the show, which is hit or miss. Sometimes these adaptations are really friggin' good, and sometimes they're awful. So we'll just have to wait and see. Which one's this? Oh, we're back on Fourth Wing. Again, Rebecca Yarros again. Pretty covers. I like this song. It's a good song. All right, so I think that's all the mileage we're going to get out of old Ruth. Again, another person, career is going great. Be on the lookout. So that's that. What time is it? 7:33. We can do one more. One more. What was the one that you had suggested, Cass? We're going to do the Carolyn Peckham. Let's do Carolyn Peckham. What does Carolyn write? What does Carolyn... The name sounds familiar. Peckham. Right. Please give me a list of her books in publication and series order. I don't really use AI for much else other than like a glorified search engine. I do acknowledge the environmental impact that it has. I do stay away from like image and video generation and stuff. Zodiac Academy. Okay, I do know that one. I do know that one. It's got a black cover. And this is, I guess, timeline reading order preferred for universe continuity. So Dark Fae, here's the Zodiac. I think I may have even been that one I've sold before. So is this kind of her? That's her claim to fame is the Zodiac Academy. Short story, that's cool. Plus upcoming. So Darkmoor Penitentiary, same universe. So that's cool. I love giant universes, man. I really do. One of my favorite things about is understanding the rules of the universe. You know, I have some serious issues without how our universe rules have been set up. This whole I must consume to survive fundamental flaw in the whole thing. I need to talk to your supervisor, world. You done fucked it up from the beginning. And that's how I feel. Vampire games. Okay, let's check her out over here. Now that we got some idea of what's going on. Carolyn Peckham. Bam. She's coming out with a lot more. Very cool. I just learned about her, and they call the two that write that the Twisted Sisters. Nice. That's always a good sign. All right, let's go over here. So, wow. Okay, well that's sold. If that holds, that's crazy, and that's gonna hold. That's really good. So she's 1,200 active listings, and we'll take a look at those in just a second. Let me write here, Zodiac Academy writer, Ruth, and then we'll write Woman in Cabin 10 show coming out. All right. So let's go back over Cha. And eventually I am going to make this database available. I want to make it a little more clean and presentable. And then what'll happen, we are going to start doing this on Twitch in a 16:9 format. And we're going to do a couple of different things on there. It's not going to be an either or. I'm going to try to do this at least on here at least once a week, but I'm going to do it more over on Twitch just because I think the 16:9 format is a little more forgiving. And then I'll be able to put the VODs on YouTube in that nice big format. I was kind of watching some of the VODs and they're not bad. They're fine. But I think the information is a little hard to consume in this format. So 42%. That is so good. That is really good. Just to kind of give you an idea of how good that is. Look, she's up there with Sarah Moss, Carissa Broadbent, Kristen Hanna. She's tied with Kristen Hanna, and she's no slouch by any stretch. Colleen Hoover. And these numbers may have come down a little bit since we put them in, but, and numbers go up and down like this. If you were to plot a data point, it would be a graph. These aren't static, obviously. That's another thing to remember about statistics. They change. So, all right. Let's look and see what she's got for bolos. Damn, that's expensive. Damn, that's expensive. Damn, that's expensive. That's the same as that one. So Bookish Box, man, those books. It's crazy how expensive those books get. I'm sure you're not paying that much when you order them, but I guess they're just super low print, really nice covers, that kind of thing. I'm pulling a few of these out, but these are all $200 a piece. Foxy Tales is what that one is. We'll look at that one. Jeez. Ruthless Fate. Is this dark? This isn't dark romance, is it? This is like a... That's so... There's a trilogy by Nancy Kress about genetic engineering, which one of the common mods is people who... Whoa! That is so cool, Rusty! That is cool. Why couldn't we have that system? I like that system. Let's eat some sunlight. It's disturbing at times, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be. That's fair. I'm going to add that to my TBR as well. That's cool. It's still $300 or so for 4. Yeah, okay, it is dark romance. Okay. Dark romance is hot. Hot, hot, hot. I will say this. If you are a collector of dark romance, and if you are mindful of value and things of that nature. And I completely acknowledge a lot of people just buy books to buy books. Just be aware that at some point probably dark romance will peak and be a little. So just be aware that like if you need to sell these things, like just kind of keep one eye on the price. So because eventually they'll be a little bit. These are cool, but they are hot as shit right now, and they will be for the foreseeable future. So, but generally, what happens is sometimes they'll still be valuable, but the covers do ultimately come down as fewer people start to look for them. Savage Fae, another good one. God, these covers are neat. Vicious Fae. So I'm like super nerd, and I'm neurodivergent, and like I am that kid that gets really hard into something, has everything about it, and then gets bored of it and gets rid of it. I've had so many different like massive collections of different things, and I'm also poor, so I can't get caught with my hand in the bag, I guess is the saying. These are cool. Because I do like because like comics, for example, sometimes comics from a speculative like they do well, and sometimes they're safer than especially right now with tariffs and Trump and all this stuff. Like I'm watching the stock market go wow 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 wow, which is I know fine for folks that are in that life, but I'm more of a set it and forget it and let's do other things kind of guy. Not that I have stock, but I don't want to be like stressing. So blue chip like comic books, they don't really lose value, and they increase 2 to 3% over, so if you need a hedge against inflation, sometimes collectibles, depending on what your situation is the play. And then as long as you can keep them nice, sometimes, and then when money problems hit, you're like, okay, which one of you is going to get turned into food? So it's like having little safety nets everywhere. You can tell I had a rough childhood. I just want to be safe, and the books make me feel safe. So anyway, hyperfixations are terrible for the bank account. Yes, Rusty, they are, and I learned that young. The trick is to never buy anything retail if you can help it, which I can't help it. and then just try to keep it in as good as condition as you get, and as long as you didn't buy it like retail, and it's at least hopefully you can get it for near the amount that you invested into it. So it's almost like just a store of money, but that's in a perfect world. I get it. But not super ninja, so hopefully they are good. I bought the first one, so I'll let. Oh, cool, excellent. I wish I'd known the American Girl box sets were worth money back when I got rid of them. Yeah. Goosebumps originals. Let's look up Goosebumps originals while we're here. Goosebumps is a weird one insofar as value. And you guys will see there's a lot of listings, like tons and tons and tons. Let's go to active here. This is a while since I've checked. Yeah, so look at that. Comparative like to the authors that we were just looking at, there's 10 times as many Goosebumps on the market on eBay alone than there are those other authors. Now, obviously, there's hundreds of stuff, so let's look at some nice Goosebumps stuff. So, and these are sold. So money is actually exchanged hands. So a lot of the first 62, I want to kind of look at individual books more than anything else. What is this? What is this? All right. Goosebumps, Scholastic E-Goodness. Let's see what else we got. They have reprinted so many. So it's funny that you mentioned that. So we actually did look up R.L. Stine as an author, and then as a total, he had like 34,000 book listings. So just a massive amount of books available, but they only sell at 3% sell-through rate. And I think the reason why that is exactly what you point out, Cassie, is that they've reprinted so many, but people don't want the reprints. They just want the first editions, with the bookmarks and the cards and, the really hard to find ones, which are not that many, right? So I think those numbers reflect that reality. That there's just so many, and again, super collectible. Like I would never not pick up a Goosebumps book, but by and large, the ones that are at least moving on eBay are the ones that either you have to have a ton of them at once, or like the whole set or something, or you really do need like the ones that like that one that's hard to find. And I couldn't even tell you which ones those all are. You have to be like super familiar with the like you just have to know. Let me show you here what I'm talking about. And I know you guys probably know what I'm talking about, but one of the reasons why I love Whatnot is that y'all are book folks. Let me get rid of some of these. All right, let's look at this one. This was a $400 Goosebumps book. Presents TV book 17. So the reason why it's probably that much is that some first print, there just probably wasn't a ton of these printed, and there's enough R.L. Stine completionists that they'll battle over that book. So, because any prices is this supply and demand, right? If the supply is low and the demand is high, your price goes up. If supply is high, demand is low, price goes down. And it's that simple. So either there has to be so few of these and demand is real high or high enough. So that's cool. This one's a little beat up. Books. Oh, no, that's plastic. This is a box set. So yeah, if you see the box sets, man, especially and they're sealed, and this is a bit counterintuitive, but sometimes and I don't know if you guys can see this all the way down here, but this is 49, 50, 51, and 52. That is probably one of the reasons why it's a little bit more on the pricey side. And this is true in Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys. Sometimes the latter part of the series is actually more expensive than the front end of the series, simply because is that as they were getting towards the end of the series, they're printing less books because demand for them in real time is lower, right? So, you might have a bajillion reprints on 1, 2, 3 of like Nancy Drew, for example, but then you may not have, and you still have a bunch of reprints. Don't get me wrong, but that back half is going to be printed less. So again, supply and demand, less supply. And then if you have the same number of completionists that want those books, but you have less of them, anyway, you guys get it. It's fun to think about. So let me try this here. So we got lots of them here. So again, lots of them at one place. People always do that. It's always a good thing. This is really cool. Give yourself Goosebumps. Again, it could just be a really low print, kind of the tail end of because they've had publishing in like issues with the author, and R.L. Stine's been accused of like not writing some of the books, and he's a character. So this is a choose your own adventure too, which is really neat. This is really good condition. So do not sleep on the never sleep on the Goosebumps. Oh, I've actually had this. Not in this condition though. So what you want to see, this is kind of a quick identifier mark for like if you're out in the wild and you're scanning through books like real fast and you don't have time to like really sit with them. It's not always a free Goosebumps bookmark inside, but generally the first prints will have some sort of like blurb on them. And then of course, quick glance at the side. You see how it's different in the center there, right here. I don't know if that's just a crease, but that's usually where the bookmarks and stuff. Is it in there? Is it in there? Be in there. So maybe he doesn't actually have the bookmark. I don't know why he wouldn't photograph the bookmark. You really want to have the bookmark in the cards. So, but if you flip it on the side, you just like run your finger over it, you can feel it, like it, because it'll stop on that thing like it was a bookmark, and it's a little thicker cardboard than the normal paper. So these are cool. I've never seen this one. Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes. I love lawn gnomes. I think they're the coolest thing. Do you guys remember Plants vs. Zombies 2? Or actually any of them? And the lawn gnomes like played a really cool kind of part. I want to find one with like bookmarks and stuff in it. So that's another thing that you generally will have to see if it's in here. If there's anything like, so because people would tear this out, right? You deal with this in comic books a lot. Like sometimes you got to turn to a page and make sure like a coupon's not clipped out. Because then if it is, then it's considered like incomplete. Value goes way down. It stinks. Perfect cover, perfect everything else. Don't have the coupon, problem. Sucks. But I want to find one with a bookmark, and I think we'll probably wrap it up after that. Here's another one, sealed. Anything Goosebumps sealed is going to be strong. Somebody wants it. Let me see what else is here. Oh, no, it's 44 bucks. Let's not do that one. Let's not do that one. Retro Fear, limited 10. I've never seen that before. Ooh, let me change this song a little bit more. All right. Sorry, team. I want to find the one I want to find. Okay. Maybe this one said bookmarks. Let's look this one up. So Goosebumps 62, Blood 4, Monster Blood 4. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, generally, your first editions and your first prints will have something like this, some sort of like blurb, something that kind of like that it won't have in later printings. So again, if you're scanning fast and if you see like, and you have to prioritize which ones you get, definitely. If you have to swing in the darks, that's where you want to take the swing. And this is what, here we go. This is exactly what I wanted to show you. Sorry, this is taking a second to load. Look at that. That's what you want to see. I don't even care what the book is. If it's got the bookmarks and if it looks like this and the trading cards in it, even if it just has the bookmark, people will take it with just the bookmark too. They won't pay as much as if it were totally complete, but this is not nothing. But easy $30, $40, like all day, every day, and twice on Sunday, if you can find those. And don't feel bad because like they're getting harder and harder to find, and it's a service to really get in there and locate these. So do not feel bad about asking. And this one's pretty crispy too. And I always tell people, do not sleep on the kid books when you're out at the bins or at an estate sale. You know, I'm not saying spend a ton of time, but there's a lot of value in kid books. So we actually have we're doing an old shit show, I think on Wednesday or Thursday. I think it's scheduled on Wednesday, but I don't think we're going to get it done by Wednesday, so it'll probably fire Thursday. We're doing an old shit show. It has a bunch of vintage and antique children's stuff in it. So if that's your vibe, definitely check that one out. Let me check comments. That's right. Okay, cool. I think we are going to wrap up here. I need to get a little food in my belly before we head out the door. We're going to the bins this morning, my wife and I, or wife and me, whatever the proper English is. And yeah, so again, like I said, we're going to do this at least once a week. We're going to try to get back to it. But then we're also going to start doing this topic and more, including Photoshop and old photos and a bunch of other stuff on Twitch. Like for example, I can't have Photoshop in my little box here. I gotta have the 16:9 to work with for that. But and then we're gonna restore book art. We're gonna do all the stuff that I normally do sitting here by myself. And I'm going to try to do it with friends because I could use some friends. So anyway, that's all I got. Let's see who we can raid here.